Hey, what's up guys, welcome to the 18th episode of PHP with MySQL Crash Course for Beginners User Login System. The overview of this episode includes, first of all, we'll create a database or sample database. The name of the file will be create_dblogin.php, and this page will be helpful for you to quickly start over if you're stuck somewhere. And then we'll go to login.php to create an unsuccessful login. This page will take you to the home page, and this page will display a couple of products and logout link, and finally logout page will take you back to the login page if you are not logged in or log out. So let's start coding. Let me bring up my VS Code, and here we have got Visual Studio Code as our code editor. And if you need to learn more about VS Code, you can watch my VS based series and find the link in the description below. Let me bring up my Explorer, and here I'm gonna select this sample.php file that we have been using throughout our series, and I'm gonna make a copy of this file, and let's rename it as, say, create-db-login.php. Make sure that the spellings are correct. create-db-login.php. Hit enter and let me close the Explorer, and now let's add a couple of PHP tags here. Let's go to the next row, and first of all, let's connect to the database with the expression, say, new MySQL, and here you will need a couple of arguments, and for that let's add the arguments first. Or let me see if we have here and some of our files, say, I'm gonna copy these details from here, or file handling, form data processing. We should have here functions include data types, date time, error handling, file handling. We don't have database. Data processing functions include index, loops, maths, numbers, operators, SQL injection. Yes, so these are the things that we'll need. Now I am going to copy this whole block of code from here because we'll need that, and let's come in here and paste it here. Let's cut that extra line from there and make sure that we have got defined here server name, username, password, db name. And we have also the function we used here, MySQL_connect, and then we checked if we have successfully connected to the database. If not, you can die the further code execution with the message, say, connection failed, and you can also print the error here as well. And then let's define the else block here by echo, say, success. That will do, I guess. Hit save, and let me bring up my Chrome browser, and let's browse the file here, say localhost -php tutorial / and the name of the file that we have just created, which is, let me see the file, create-db-login, create-db-login.php. Hit enter, and we have unknown database. Alright, so this error is because we need to make some changes in our code, and the change would be, say, make sure that you have also made these changes. We don't need to pass db name here because we are going to create it while executing this file. So to do that, first you need to make sure that you have successfully connected to the database. Let's save that and get back to our browser. Hit F5, and that says success. It means that you have successfully connected to the database. And I'm also gonna make auto reload on. Let me get rid of this Explorer for now, and let's click on this go live button, or you could also, say, open with live server, and that will open it in a new tab. Let's close that and get back to VS Code and execute a command here, say serve project to start our PHP server. And now, just to make sure that our auto reload is working, I'm gonna add here some random text, say random. Hit save, and after you have turned these two extensions, you will need to refresh your page only once. Now get back to VS Code and see if it works. Just to make some change here and hit save, and that should be working. Now before we move on, let me resize the browser just to make sure that you see everything perfect, and let me stretch it all the way to the down. Let's get back in here or resize our editor. Let's keep it right there maybe, and I'm gonna stretch it all the way to the down. And we don't need that terminal, so I'm gonna close it for now, and be sure that that does not close your PHP server, closing the terminal. So let's make sure again that I'm gonna add in here, say hello world, hit save, and our auto reload is working. Let me resize it a little more. Alright, so that looks perfect. Now let's move on. Since we have successfully connected to the database, after that let's create a database. Let me comment that out, go to the next row, and before we move on, let me add some room here. Alright, so that looks perfect now. And for that, first I'm gonna define here a new variable, say $SQL underscore create underscore DB, and that's gonna equal to within quotes, and I'm gonna define here or prepare here a query, say create database if not exists. And after that, let's add some backticks there, and let's pass here the variable that we created. Say, let me wrap the editor, and let's copy this variable here, which is $db name, and let's get back to our query and let's paste that in here. And always remember to terminate the expression by adding semicolon and hit save. Nothing happens because we haven't executed this query here. And after that, always remember to check if query has successfully been executed. Say, I'm gonna add in here, and you can check that just by, say, if you wanna execute this query, you can say $con and pass here and invoke its function, which is query, and that needs a couple of arguments. Say query, and let's pass here $SQL, the query that we have just prepared. So that will simply execute this query, but we want to check if the query has successfully been executed. So I'm gonna cut that, and before I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna add in here, say if else structure, and I'm gonna pass here the expression that we have just created. Say if this whole expression is equals to true, or say, alright, that's fine. So if it's equals to true, you would like to echo here database followed by the name of the database, which is right here. Let's paste that in here, and you don't need any, and let's specify the codes. The e-commerce successfully EATED created. The database followed by the name of the database, or say has successfully been created, followed by the semicolon, or else you would like to echo, say error creating database. And you can also concatenate here the error that your connection object returns, say $con, and let's invoke its method here, say error simply, and that should work, I guess. So let's break the code here, intentionally break the code here, just to verify that this whole conditional block is working. Say I'm gonna remove this as here, hit save, and we get an error here. And that also, alright, so I'm gonna add here semicolon, hit save, error creating database. So our code is working, and that also prints you have an error in your SQL. Let's get back in here and add your S here, hit save, and that says database e-commerce has successfully been created. And make sure that you also include if not exists, otherwise it will keep creating the database with the same name. Next, you would like to select the recently created database. Go to the next row and let's scroll all the way up and let's select, let me change this to lowercase, select the database. Let's comment that out, go to the next row and specify here our connection object and invoke here a method, say select underscore db, and you will need to pass here the name of the database, say $db name followed by semicolon. And after that, let's move on to create a table, say create. And before we move on, I might not accidentally run this file because auto reload is working, so whenever I hit save, that will reload the file. So I'm gonna intentionally add some text here because I don't want this auto reload to reload our page, otherwise things will be repeating as we hit save. So hit enter. Alright, let's keep it right there, and let me finish this create db login. Now let's create a table, and the name would be, say, users. Let's comment that out and go to the next row, and let's prepare here a SQL underscore create underscore users underscore table. It's gonna equals to, say, create table if not exists. And then you will need to specify here the name of the table. That's gonna be users, and let's add in here a couple of parentheses followed by semicolon, and let's go to the next row. And here you will need to specify here the structure of your table, say the columns. First column would be, say, ID, and that's gonna be, the type would be int, and the value, say 6 is enough. And then let's make it unsigned, and let's make it also auto increment, and that will be our primary key. And after that, let's add another column here, say name, and that's gonna be, the type of this column will be, say, var char, and let's make it, say, 50 characters long, and it shouldn't be null by specifying not null. And after that, the third column would be password, and let's add in here, say, var char, say 255, and that will also be not null. Alright, that looks perfect now, and let's hit, or say let's get back to there, and I'm gonna hit save. And now let's maximize the browser and get back to, say, let's close that page, and I'm gonna load here, say, localhost PHP my admin, just to see that what's happening. And you can see here, let me browse it again, it has created our e-commerce database. We don't have any table here. So let's get back in here, and after that, let's come in here, and I'm gonna copy this whole block of code from here, and let's paste that in here, and let's fix the indentation. And now let's check if the query has successfully been executed. Let's comment that out, and I'm gonna make some change here. Say $SQL create users table, and if that's true, it will say that table users within quotes has successfully been created. And after that, let's add some line break there. Otherwise, you would like to echo say error creating table, and after that let's add some line break. Now as you hit save, let's get back to VS Code, and that says, let me zoom in a bit, that says database e-commerce has successfully been created and table users has successfully been created too. And before that, let's add some line break after both of these echo statements, say line break. Alright, now if not exists, I think I have added this statement here, if not exists. So let's hit save. Table users has successfully been created. Now if we get back to PHP myadmin and let's click on our database, which is e-commerce, let me zoom out a bit, and you notice that we have successfully created our users table having 3 columns: ID, name, and password. If you want to see the structure, let's click here on a structure tab, and you can see that the type, collision, and other settings are the same as we have mentioned here in our query. Let's get back, and I'm gonna resize our browser and get back to VS Code, and let's move on to say next you can create another table. Create table, and the name would be say products. I'm gonna comment that out, and for that what I'm gonna do is let's come in here and I'm gonna copy everything from here. Let's copy this whole block of code, and after that I'm gonna paste that right in here, and let's make some changes here. I'm gonna rename it as say the name of the query would be, or the variable would be say products, and that's gonna create a table name products that will also include ID having length of 6 characters that will be unsigned, auto increment that will also have a primary key, and after that I'm gonna create a column say title, and the type would be varchar, and the value say 100. It's gonna be not null, and the third column would be say description, and it will be text and not null. And after that you would like to check if the query has successfully been executed. Table, and let's change the name of the table here. Say create table. I think I accidentally change create table users. That should be create users table, and after that it should be products table. Okay, let's select both the variables and make some changes here. Products, create products underscore table. Sorry, it shouldn't be uppercase. Let's make it lowercase, products underscore table, and after that products, everything should be the same. SQL create products table. Now let's change this text as well. That should be products. Now products has successfully been created, and make sure that it also includes if not exists. So as you hit save, and after that let's also add line breaks are there. Hit save, and we have database e-commerce has successfully been created, table users has successfully been created, and table products has successfully been created too, if not exists. Alright, and make sure that let's get back to our PHP MyAdmin and let's browse our database again. And now we have products and users table. Let me resize and get back to our page, create devlogin.php, and now you can say insert some sample data into users table. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, and now you can insert some data into users table, because right now we don't have any data in our users table. If I zoom it out, see, we don't have any data in our users table. So let me resize that and get back in here, go to the next row, let's scroll all the way up, and let's prepare the query first. Say SQL underscore insert underscore users underscore data equals to, within quotes followed by a semicolon, and here I'm gonna add, by the way, you can also, let me maximize the browser, get back to PHP MyAdmin, and if you want you can also click on this SQL tab and copy the queries from here. Say if you want to insert, just click on this button and select everything from here. Let's copy and get back in here and paste that in here and make changes as per your preferences. Let me resize the browser, and here you don't need the ID. Let me remove that from here, so we don't need this first value as well. Let's cut that from here. Okay, now you will need to pass here insert into users name and password table, and the values will be, say, the first value I'm gonna add in here, say John space Dove, and the password, you can add a password here, say any password, but I'm gonna introduce here another thing, which is hash passwords. So what does it mean? Say I'm not gonna save this file here for now. Let's maximize the editor. Let me bring up my Explorer, and I'm gonna create a, say, sample, select sample and make a copy, and let's rename it as test.php. Let's add some PHP tags here, and I'm gonna introduce here a concept of password hashing. Password hashing turns your password or any other piece of data into a short string of letters or numbers using an encryption algorithm. And you can do that just by, say, if I define here a new variable, say password underscore hash is gonna be equals to, and here you can invoke a function, say password underscore hash, and that's gonna require a couple of arguments, say the password as well as algorithm, to create a password hash. And let's add a semicolon here. First I'm gonna define here a password, say password 1, 2 and 3, and now let's add in here another argument, say password underscore default. Now that is going to hash this password and save into password, password underscore hash variable, and after that you can echo $password underscore hash followed by semicolon, hit save, and let's go back to our browser, and let's copy that path from here. I'm gonna open a new tab, let's paste that in here, and let's browse a file that we have just created, which is test.php. Hit enter. That's basically a hashed password. With the help of password hash method, that this password underscore hash function is used to securely hash passwords using the bcrypt hashing algorithm, and it takes the password as the first argument, as we have added in here, and a constant password underscore default as the second argument. And to verify a password against a hashed version during login, for instance, you would use the password underscore verify, and I will also show you how to use this function in a little bit. Let me cut that from here, and let's copy this line of code from here and get back to our create.db login. Let me close our Explorer, and before we move on, I'm gonna add in here, say, hash underscore password. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, and let's paste the line of code that we copied from our test.php file. Let's cut that from here, and now you can reference this variable here. Now this hashed password will be saved into your database, and that's gonna be more secure. So after that, let's get back in here and select this whole block of code, and let's paste that in here, because we are going to execute this query. Insert, say, SQL underscore insert users data, and on successful insertion you would like to echo, say, sample data has successfully been inserted into users table. Otherwise you would like to echo error inserting data, and the error as well. And now let's bring up our browser and let's resize that and get back to VS Code. And now as I hit save, that says unknown column, products table has successfully been created. We have unknown column, name, password, we don't have. Okay, so the issue here was, I'm gonna cut that from here, and let's keep that within single quotes. And now if I hit save, sample data has successfully been inserted into users table. Let's make it table, and let's get back to our PHP my admin and go to users table. And now I'm gonna select all the values from here, and let's delete all of them at once. Yes, I don't need any value in here. Now let's resize it and get back in here. Since the query is working, the issue was just for this single tick. I added here backtick. So just because of backtick, it was considering this password hash as column. So after that, let's add a comma here. After that, I'm gonna add in here, or let's take everything to the next row, and let's make this value as, say, John Doe. Let's make a copy of it, and the second user would be, say, Jane Smith. Hit save, and you have error. Check the manual. Why do I have error? If you need to add here more than one row data, so let's cut that from here. Let's cut that from here and add a comma right there. And after that, I'm gonna add a new row here that should be within parentheses, and let's clear this up. Cut that from here, and we don't need this extra space as well. So that should be our first row, that should be our second row. Now as I hit save, that should say sample data has successfully been inserted into users table, and make sure that we have this data successfully inserted in our PHP my admin. So our first user is John Doe, the second user is Jane Smith, and the hash password. Now after that, let's insert some sample data into products-table, and let's comment that out. Let's do one thing from here. Say, I am gonna copy this whole block of code from here, and we'll make changes as per our preference. Alright, let's fix the indentation. Insert some sample data into products table, and let's prepare the query. Say let's select the second occurrence of the variable and let's rename it as products table. Insert into, let's select that as well, products, and the first column is say title and the second is description, and the values will be, say I'm gonna add in here, let's cut that from here for now, and I'm gonna add in here say product -1, and here for description I'm gonna say description for product -1, or let's maximize the editor for now. That says product 1, that's gonna be the title, and this is going to be the description of our product. Description for product 1, and I'm gonna make a couple of copies. That's gonna be our second product, and this is gonna be our third product, and this is gonna be our fourth product. And make sure that that should be insert products table, and if that's true, sample data has successfully been inserted into products table, otherwise error inserting data. And before you hit save, make sure that you comment this block of code out, otherwise it will insert sample data into your users table again. Let's comment that out for now with the hotkey controller command shift A. Hit save, and that should say that you have an error in your SQL. Check the manual. Where do I have error? Title products table, insert into products, or make sure that it's a kind of helpful thing for you if you make any changes. Say let's come in here, let's click on products table and hit this SQL editor and this insert button. Insert into and try to verify that your query is correct. Let's copy everything from here, get back to VSCODE, let's maximize it and paste that query here, and I think we have insert into products. After that we don't need ID. Let's cut that from here and insert into, and then description, the values are, everything looks perfect. Or instead of that, I'm gonna cut that from here and let's paste that in here. Everything looks the same. Product -1, let's cut this extra line of code from here. Everything looks the same. Now let's resize the editor and resize the browser and try to hit save. We still get the same error. Since you have an error in your SQL, check the manual that corresponds to your MariaDB server version for the right syntax to use near code. I think I have an issue. I don't need this comma here. Hit save, and that says sample data has successfully been inserted into products table. Now these are the issues. This is kind of debugging and it's quite obvious it will happen with you as well. We get this type of errors and bugs, and you need to identify where the code is breaking and try to fix it. So this is the common practice if you're coding. Alright, so successfully we have, and after that I'm gonna select this whole block of code and let's comment that out. And after everything, always remember to close the connection by invoking a method, say close followed by semicolon, and then I'm gonna prettify this whole document. Let's cut this extra space as well and simply hit save. So what did we do in this file? This file is, or this file will be quite helpful for you if you get stuck somewhere. You can, because we'll create the whole login system in this episode, so if you get stuck somewhere you can just start over. So we actually connected to the database, and after that we created a database if not exists, and then we selected it and we created a couple of tables, say users and products table, and after that we inserted some sample data in our users table and in our products table. And make sure that you also comment out the queries that you do not want to execute while coding. Now you are ready to move on to create your first login page, and for that let me select our sample and I'm gonna make a copy of it, and let's rename it as login.php. Let me close the Explorer and I'm gonna add in here some PHP tags. First of all, let's create a very basic HTML form. So for that, let's come out of PHP context, and here I am going to add very basic HTML template, and let's rename it. The title, by the way, if you need to learn more about HTML, you can watch my HTML based series and find the link in the description below. I'm gonna call this a login-page, and after that in the body tag I'm gonna add in here form. The value of the action attribute will remain empty because on submission this form will direct you to the same file. Now let's go to the next row and I'm gonna add in here say label tag, and let's keep it, sorry I forgot to add here say method should be post, and after that let's add a label here say user name. Let's go to the next row and I'm gonna add in here an input. The type would be text, and let's add here another name attribute say user name, and after that let's add some line break. Let's go to the next row and let's copy this whole block of code, and let's change couple of things here. Say that's gonna be password followed by colon. I'm gonna add a colon here as well, and the name would be password, and the type will also be say password, or let's keep it text just to see the password while typing. And if you do not want to make your users see the password while they are typing, you can keep it say password. And after that let's add another input here, and the type would be submit, and I'm gonna add another attribute here say the value would be login. Hit save and let's resize it, and let's open with live server. It did not open it with the live server. Yes, it did. Let's close that tab for now, and now let's browse to this file that we have just created. The name is login.php, and that renders us pretty nice and decent. Let me add in here after the username another line break. So I'm gonna resize the browser. Now that's a very basic form. Since the scope of this series is not the styling or CSS or the designing of your web page, the main scope of this series is to discuss about the backend, how PHP actually works. So if you need to learn about how you can style, how you can add CSS, or how you can bootstrap your web pages, you can watch my bootstrap based series, CSS, Flexbox, and etc., and find the links in the description below. Okay, now after adding form to your page, you can verify username and password of the user with your sample database. But before that, you will need to make a couple of extremely important checks, such as, let's get back in here and go to the PHP part of this file. First of all, you would like to check if the request is post. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, and I'm gonna add in here if structure, and let's specify here $_server, and let's specify here the constant request underscore method if that is equals to, within quotes, say post. If that's true, say you would like to echo post followed by semicolon. Hit save, and as you hit login, that should say the post. So it means that our code is working and we have entered to this block of code. Let me wrap the editor and let's cut that line of code from there. Go to the next row. Now you'll need to retrieve login from data from $_post superglobal and assign that value to relevant variables. So for that, let's add in here $username equals to $_post, and the key would be, let's close this file, and the key would be that we have added here. Let's copy that and paste that in here. Paste followed by semicolon. Let's make a copy, and the next variable would be, say, password, and that's gonna be password. And after that, let me show you echo, say, $username and $password just to verify that our code is working. Hit save, and if you enter, say, name here, say John and 123, hit enter, we get John and the password both right here, followed by some line break. Now after that, let's cut the line of code from here. Now after that, you can connect to the database. Let's comment that out, and for that I'm gonna get back to our create db login file, and let's copy a couple of things from here, this whole line of code, and get back in here, and I'm gonna paste that block of code right here. So because you will need to connect to database, and here you would also like to pass another argument, which is $db. You don't need to select it here. Okay, so if that's true, I'm gonna say you would like to echo, say, welcome to database followed by semicolon if everything is true. So now let's hit save, and we see welcome to database followed by line break. Go to the next row, and now you will need to verify the inputs data with database. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, or let's add some room before we move on. Why do I have echo right here? I don't need this echo. Line break, cut that from here. And now to verify the input data with the database, let's prepare the query first. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, and here I'm going to define stmt, short for statement, is equals to, and then I'm gonna invoke a connection method, say prepare, and after that I'm gonna pass a query here. Select, say, all from users, and do not forget to add here where clause, where name equals to question mark, and after that let's specify here statements, and let's invoke a method here, say bind params, and that's gonna be s, short for string, and user name that you have specified here. This one, sorry, we have two usernames, sorry, so let's make it user simply. Okay, and we have, let's make it say this username as, let's select this instance as well, or instance as well, -db, username db or _db. And as far as password is concerned, let's make it password _db. Now that shouldn't make any clash with these variables, username and password. Now let's add semicolon there, and after that dollar statement. Now let's execute the query followed by semicolon, and then you would like to assign the result to the result variable. Say result is equals to dollar statement, and let's invoke here result, sorry, that should be get underscore results method. So after that you will have something like, say, an array of results, and let me show you what you have here. No, I'm not gonna show you. After that you would like to check if you get any results. So I'm gonna add here if you get any results, or print an error message. So let's specify here our if else structure, and I'm gonna add in here, you can check if you get any results by invoking a method of result, say num underscore rows, and if that is equals to 1, you would like to echo, say, welcome user. Otherwise you would like to echo, and here I'm gonna add within paragraph tag invalid username or password, and you can also style it, say equals to within quotes, that can be color colon red. Paragraph style tag, why is that showing you invalid username or password? Paragraph style, that style displays an error. Unexpected name, where is the name? Let's cut everything from here and get back right here and paste that in here, followed by semicolon. And now I'm gonna review this whole block of code. Say if the request is post, and then connection to the database. On successful connection, you are going to say welcome to database, and after that you will try to find the user and check if you get any results. It's safe. And now I am going to add in here, say John Doe, password 123, hit enter, and that says welcome user. Now we can move on to, say, I'm gonna define here a new variable, say row equals to dollar results, and let's invoke here its method, which is fetch underscore associative array, followed by semicolon, because whenever you execute this query that returns a couple of rows, and if I show you first, let me show you what you get in this array with the help of train underscore r, and let's define here, say dollar results, followed by semicolon, hit save, and this type of array you receive. Say that after that let's add some line break, hit save, and we get MySQL results object that includes current field count, length is 3, and num underscore rows is 1, that we have only one row. So that is the object you get. Now if you want to retrieve the actual data out of this object, you will need to call or invoke a method fetch underscore associative array, and after that let me show you what we get if we fetch the data from this result object. So I'm gonna add here print underscore r, and let's add in here dollar row followed by semicolon. If I hit save, now we get, after this print, so I'm gonna add some line break. Hit save. Now we get the data of our row retrieved from the database. The ID is 5, name is John Doe, and the password is this whole hashed password. Now you can access any of the elements of this array individually as well. Alright, now let's get back in here, and after that you can verify the form password with the database password. Let's comment that out, go to the next row, and you can check here with the if else structure. Alright, say if password underscore verify, and the password that you receive from the input that is represented by the password, and the password retrieved from the database, and you can specify that password as say $row. There is a key which is right here, password, and let's paste that in here. And if that satisfies the condition, you can say echo welcome, comma, and now you can concatenate here $row with the name of the user that you receive, followed by semicolon. And now we do not need this welcome anymore. After that, if you hit save, we get welcome John Doe, meaning that the username and password entered are correct. And now let me cut this print underscore r from here and this one as well. Hit save, and now we get welcome John Doe. And why do we get this welcome user? Let's cut that from here. Otherwise, you can simply, let's copy this code from here. You can simply say invalid username or password. Hit save. Say if anyone adds in here the correct name but incorrect password, say hit enter, invalid username or password. So John Doe, password 123. Hit enter, welcome John Doe. Now after successful login, you would like to, let me add some room here. Now after successful login, you would like to redirect your user to the home page. Redirect to the home page. We haven't created the home page yet. Now let's header function, and the location would be say home.php, and after that you would like to exit. The exit function, this exit function prints a message to the screen and terminates the current script. Now let's create home page, and before that always close the connection, $con close. Now let me prettify this document. Let's cut this extra space from here and make sure that everything's working perfect. Hit save. That is John Doe. I don't have the URL. Alright, so that's not there. Let me comment this line for now. Hit save, and let's get back to, now try the other user that we created. Our second user is Jane Smith. I'm gonna copy this name from here, and let's get back to our page, and let's change the user. Paste that, and the password is password 123. Hit enter, and that should take us to welcome Jane Smith. And I'm gonna save it, say never, and let's get back to VS Code. And just because we have added this exit function, that's why it did not show us the form again. Now let's uncomment this header to redirect your user. Hit save and get back to our browser, and let's hit enter. And now that should take us to home.php. I don't know why it's taking so long. Maybe my system is breaking home.php. That should show some error. Jane Smith, password 123, hit enter. Alright, so here is an issue, object not found, because we haven't created home.php yet. And now let's create it. Get back to VSCODE and let me bring up the Explorer, and from here let's select sample.php and let's make a copy of it, and let's rename this file as home.php. And here I'm gonna add some PHP tags, and let's echo welcome home followed by semicolon. Hit save, get back to our browser, and now let's hit enter. Successfully it has redirected us to home.php. Now let me resize the browser, or let's maximize the editor, and let me close the Explorer, as well as I'm gonna close this test.php, this sample.php. I'm also gonna close this login.php. We'll open these files again if we need. An overview of the home page. Say first of all we'll add HTML template, then we'll transform it to the dummy layout, and finally we'll replace it with the data retrieved from the database. First of all, you can redirect the user to the login page if not logged in. So for that, I'm gonna add in here our if statement, and you can do that just by adding your session variable. So for that, first you should know that if your user is logged in or not. So for that, let me bring up our login file. Now we have the user here, and the name of the user we have defined with row name. Now to get this variable or this value here in our login page, you will have to start the session. So for that, let's get back in here to our login page all the way up, and let's start the session here. Session underscore start followed by semicolon. Now you are able to access $session superglobal. Hit save, and before you redirect your user to the home page, let's define here a couple of session keys. Say $_session, and the key would be say user, and let's assign here the name of the user, which is, or we can define a new variable here, say user equals to the name of the user that we retrieved from database. Let's paste it here followed by semicolon, and let's assign this value, this variable, as the value of our session variable, and the key is user followed by semicolon. And after that, let's make a copy. I'm gonna define another key here, say logged in, and let's pass in here true value, and now let's hit save. Now to get these session variables in your home.php, you will also need to start the session here, say session start followed by semicolon, and now you will need to verify here, say if is set, and the name of the variable that's gonna be, first let me show you. I'm gonna comment this out, and let me add here a couple of line breaks. After that, I'm gonna add in here, or let's $r our $_session array, and let me show you what we have in this array. Let's resize the editor as well as our browser, and as I hit save, I think I'll need to open with live server. Let's open this with live server, and let's close this new tab for now, and let's PHP serve. Let's serve the project again. Let's close this terminal for now and this notification. Now hit save and refresh, manually refresh your page only once, and we get empty array. So let's come in here and open it to the new tab. Let's get back to login.php and let's fill the form again, say Jane, or I'm gonna copy the name from here. Let's close that for now, paste that in here, and the password is password 123. Hit enter, and now that, let's hit never, and now that gives you the information about the user that we just logged in. And this is John Doe. We have two elements in this array. First is user and the second is logged in. So that's how you can access any variable throughout your application with the help of $_session array. Now resize the browser and get back to VS Code. After that, let's uncomment this block of code and say if is set $_session, and the key should be, say, this one, logged in. Paste that in here, and I'm gonna add in here sign of exclamation just for adding here not. So if it is not set, you would like to redirect your user to, say, header, and the location would be, say, back to login.php. Say for some reason, if this session variable is not set, your user will be redirected back to the login page. After that, let's exit with a message as well if you want to. Otherwise, what you can do is, right now we are logged in, so definitely it will not redirect your user to the login page. So if I hit save, nothing happens. Now let's bring up our DevTools, because I'm going to remove, let's maximize the editor or the browser, and this is Chrome DevTools little tool. If you want to learn this Chrome DevTools, you can watch my Chrome DevTools based series and find the link in the description below. Now to remove this session variable, you will need to go to application, cookies, localhost, and here is a session variable. Now you can delete that, and now if we have manually deleted the session variable. So now say if someone tries to access this home page directly without logged in, it will take you back to the login page. So now let's fill the form again, password 123, hit enter, and it takes you to home.php. Let me resize the browser and get back to VS Code. So after that, I'm gonna add in here basic HTML template, and let me wrap the editor. Sorry, I added that within PHP context. So let's cut everything from here and paste that right here. First of all, let's change the title of the document, say home. Hit save. Now if you notice, that should show us the title of the document is home. What I'm gonna do here, say I'm gonna add in here h2 tag, and within h2 you would like to welcome your user. For now I'm gonna add the user manually, and later we'll replace it with our dynamic variables. Alright, hit save, and after that let's add here another heading tag, say h3, and add in here products followed by colon. Let's see if it's working. Alright, and before we move on, I'm gonna cut this line of code from here. Cut that from here, and I'm also gonna cut these lines. So after that, let's add some HTML here. Say the products, I'm gonna add in here the paragraph tag, and within paragraph tag I'm gonna add in here strong tag, and here say title colon. After that, let's add right in here, say product -1, and then I'm gonna copy this code from here, and now let's add some line break let's paste that in here, and let's change this to description. Hit save and see what we get. That's the title, and for description I'm gonna add, say, description of product 1. Hit save. Alright, so let's add couple more products. Hit save. Now this would be the layout of our home page, and after that let's add another line break, and after that I'm gonna add in here an anchor tag, and that will take us to logout.php. logout. Hit save, and that should show us the link of logout. Let's come all the way here, and I'm gonna make this a 5 RAM. Alright, that looks perfect now. Now what I'm gonna do, you will not add products like this. You will connect to the database and retrieve the product's data from database and replace this title with the retrieved data and the description with the retrieved data. Let's cut everything from here. Now after products, I'm gonna add in here, let me grab the editor and let's add some room here. I'm gonna add here a couple of PHP tags. So before we move on, let's connect to the database, and let's get back to our login.php, and we'll need a couple of lines of code from here. Let's maximize the editor, and I'm gonna copy this block of code from here, and now let's paste that in here. So that includes, say, the name of the server, that is localhost, and username. Now after connection, check if you have successfully connected to the database. If not, let's die the further code execution. Otherwise, you would like to, first I'm gonna replace this name with the PHP tag. Let's add some PHP here, and I'm gonna echo here $_session, and the key would be, say, user, followed by semicolon. Hit save, and let's resize the editor and refresh our page. Now that shows us the name of the user, and after that, now we have dynamically added the name of the user to our home page. Now let's get back in here, and after welcoming or greeting our user, let's come in here to the else code. Now to retrieve the data from the database, you will need to prepare the query. So let's add the query here. Say, I'm gonna add in here a new variable, say SQL, followed by, or let's get back in here, go to products table and go to SQL editor and click select. You will only select, say, I don't think we need the ID of the product. Let's cut that from here. Select title and description from products, where we also do not need where clause here. Now let's copy this whole SQL from here and get back to VS Code. Now I'm gonna paste that in here, followed by semicolon. And after that preparation, I'm gonna define here a new variable, say results, that should be lower, and let's call in here, say, our connection object, and invoke here its query method and pass on here the query, which is $SQL, followed by semicolon. After that, you can check if the query has successfully been executed. I'm gonna comment that out, go to the next row and scroll all the way up right in here, and here executed or echo, say 0 results. And now let's add in here our if else structure, and let's specify here our result object, and if that includes any number of rows, so you can check that with the num rows method, and if that is greater than 0, meaning it has some results, you would like to say echo results retrieved. Otherwise, you would like to echo 0 results followed by semicolon, and add the semicolon here as well. Now hit save and get back to our browser and hit refresh. So result retrieved. Now moving on, let's cut that line of code from here, go to the next row, and to access each row of results you need to loop through this result array. And I'm gonna add in here say while, and let's add in here say $row equals to results, and let's invoke its method, that is fetch underscore assoc. And let's cut this whole line from here and get back in here. Now you would like to echo the line that we just cut followed by a semicolon and see what we get. Hit save, refresh the page, and we get it. Now you would like to replace this static title with a dynamic title that we have received from the database, and that you can do just by say I'm gonna add in here a couple of codes, as well as let's concatenate here $row followed by the key is gonna be title, and let's copy this whole expression from here and let's paste in here, and let's replace it with description. Hit save. Now as you refresh the page, you notice that we have got product 2 description for product 2, then product 1 description for product 1, then product 3 description for product 3, and then product 4 description for product 4. Now see the order of these products in our database. Hit OK. The first product's title is product 2, then we have product 1, 3, and then 4. This is because I think when we were, let's get back in here, I'm gonna maximize the editor and let's open create DB login. And here let's go to say products, where we inserted the data, sample data for products. Alright, so this is the reason that's making it. Hit save, and now let's get back to phpMyAdmin, and I'm gonna delete this database for now. Let's drop that database and let's browse that file, and that's why we created create-login.php. Hit enter, and that should successfully create the database for us with the right order of our products. It did not insert it. Or let's click this again, go to operations, let's drop the database and get back to VSCODE, and now let's uncomment this whole block of code. Toggle block comment, I don't know why it does not work. Let's cut that manually. Okay, and see if you need to uncomment. Let's uncomment that as well. No, I don't know why the toggle does not work, and see if everything is uncomment now. Alright, so hit save, get back to our browser, and let's refresh the page and refresh the phpMyAdmin, and that should insert the products in correct order. And now if you get back to home.php, we get the products in right order, product 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's close that file and get back to home.php. Let me resize the editor as well as the browser, and after that always remember to close the connection by invoking close function, close method followed by semicolon, and I'm gonna prettify the document as well as let's cut this extra space from here. Hit save, and now if you refresh the page, we get unsuccessful login. We get welcome John Doe. That's dynamic. We got this name from session variable, and we retrieved this product data from the database. After that, now let's move on to, let me cut this extra space from here and this as well. Let me bring up my Explorer and let's select our sample, and now let's make a copy of it and let's create our logout page. I'm gonna rename it as logout.php, and here I'm gonna add a couple of PHP tags. Let's go to the next row, and first of all you can set all session variables by say $_session, and let's set it to an empty array by calling an array function. Now that will set the session variable to an empty array, and secondly you can destroy the session, ion_destroy, followed by semicolon, and after that, or finally, you can redirect the user to the login page by invoking a function, say header, and the location would be say login.php, followed by exit function. And now let's clear this up, and I'm also gonna prettify it, and let's add semicolon here. Hit save. Now let's refresh the page, and if you hit logout, that takes you to the login page, and if someone tries to access say home.php, it's still working because we did not start the session here. So to unset the session, first you need to start the session by invoking a function session_start, and now you are able to reset the session variables, destroy the session, and redirect the user back to login.php. Hit save, and now hit refresh, logout, and now if someone tries to get to home.php, cannot because it's logged out. Now if you fill the form again, it takes you to the home page. And that was all about user login system. By the way, you can get this tutorial file from our GitHub repository and find the link in the description below. If you have any question, you just feel free to comment below, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.